ask them in the questions, and then the same here on LinkedIn and YouTube. So welcome to this show, Krista, called The Real Story Behind Our Business. And you are, for me, the most, representative of what business is about. Because I've been knowing you for I don't know how long, but now that I am myself a woman entrepreneur, I get to know you under that lens, and you're as amazing. So I want my audience to learn more about all the wisdom you have in you. Oh, I hear an echo. Is it coming from me or you? I don't know if it's from me or. Do you have any earphones as well on your desktop?
I have
you have phones. Okay. So if we keep hearing the echo, we'll shut off Instagram, and you guys on Instagram, just join us on Facebook, okay? But we'll see. We'll give it a chance. Okay.
Sounds good.
So let's introduce yourself first. Krista, who are you? And for our beautiful friends who are all over the world, tell us where we are right now.
All right. So my name is Krista Ross, and I'm the CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. And Fredericton is the capital city of New Brunswick, which is on the east coast of Canada. And I've lived in Fredericton most of my life, except for, a big adventure when I moved 2 hours down the road to Moncton for a few years. But I found my way back to my hometown, and I love Fredericton, and I love working in a job that allows me to promote and support our community.
So tell us more about your job before we deep dive into the questions. What do you do?
So I'm the CEO at the Chamber, and maybe I'll just give you a little bit of Chamber 101. So the Chamber of Commerce has three sort of areas of work. One is advocacy, and that means that we help to represent and speak on behalf of businesses and not-for-profits that are within our membership on issues that are of concern to them. That might be regulatory issues, it might be tax issues, it might be any type of issues that they would be dealing with as it relates to government or to operating their businesses. So that's one area, advocacy. The second area is events and networking and education. And so at the Chamber of Commerce, we host about 50 events a year, ranging from Chamber College, which is educational events that we host in our own boardroom, to our largest event of the year, which is the State of the Province Dinner. And it's held each year and has about 1,000 guests for dinner. In addition to those networking education events, we also provide what we call tangible benefits. And so those would be things like we have a health plan, we have discounted MasterCard and Visa, we have all kinds of, shipping, car rentals, all those types of programs that help our small business members to run their businesses and in a more profitable way. So that's sort of what Chambers of Commerce are all about. And so that's what we do. A good part of my time is spent on the advocacy part of the job, and as well on relationship building, networking, and helping people to make those connections that they need to be successful.
Yeah, connection is really a word that I would tag on you. Like, you're such a good connector. Like, you're so approachable. And this is, so the first time I met you, Krista, we need a little story. I want to share my little story with how I met you the first time. It was at the State of the Province, and I was a journalist at the time. I was behind the camera, and I'm pretty sure I interviewed you, but you were on the stage. And I remember telling myself, I'm like, wow, what it takes to be on the stage. And like, I could see you run the show, and I was like so in admiration. And then I got the privilege to interview you. But I'm sharing this because why we're here today, it's really about how women entrepreneurs, women leaders, what it takes to show up, to become visible, and to speak to what you believe in, and in the name of serving others and helping others. So this is why we're here today. This is why I'm so excited to have you. So thank you for this.
It's my great pleasure. I'm really happy to be here.
So the first question I have for you is this one. The little Krista.
Yeah.
What little Krista was, I don't know, playing at or with when she was maybe 7 that really led to who you became today in your role?
Well, that's a good question. I was always very interested in current affairs, even when I was little. I also was like to organize things. I like to be in charge. I like to have lots of friends. So I was very social. Um, and I was very involved, when I was young and as I went through my school years, I was involved in every club and activity that was happening at school. And I like to be involved in those kinds of social networks and even in high school, model parliament and all those types of things. Those were the types of things I loved to do. Student council, debating club, all those fun things. And so I guess that was part of the path that led me here. But I also, I grew up in a home where my parents didn't have any opportunity for post-secondary education. But they told me from the time I was little that they just thought I was so smart. And they would always tell me how smart I was and how I could do anything. And they didn't really know what that looked like for me because they hadn't had those opportunities themselves. But they did know that whatever I set my mind to, I was going to be able to do. And they told me that all the time. So I grew up thinking that I could do whatever I wanted. And so I did.
Wow, that's a beautiful testimonial for your parents. I love this. So, what was your most burning desire, Krista, when you decided to really get involved in the Chamber of Commerce? What was that big drive?
Well, I started my journey in, I guess you could call it the support organization role, as the marketing director for downtown Moncton. And I loved my job. I loved being in touch with all the different businesses. I did marketing and promotional campaigns. But what I really loved is going in and talking to them and asking them, so what's going on in your business? Tell me what's happening or how I can help you. And then trying to create marketing campaigns that would help. And I loved that work. And I was there for about a year and a half doing that job. And I happened to be home on a weekend and I saw that the Chamber of Commerce was advertising at that time for a general manager. And I thought, well, this is perfect. It's a great step in my career and it's back home to Fredericton. So I applied for the job. And at the ripe age of 21, I was hired as the Chamber of Commerce general manager.
Wow, that's a big step at 21.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they clued in how old I was. I was quite mature for my age. I'm not sure.
So tell me, that's a good segue actually. Like, what was your biggest struggle as a 21 years old you had from what you tell me about who you were as a young Krista, you all have your ideas and you had probably a big vision. How was it to put your foot on the ground and say, I'm going to lead you guys, listen to me, even if I'm 21.
I had lots of confidence, but I also had lots of amazing people around the boardroom table. The Chamber of Commerce in Fredericton has always been known for developing leaders. And I was so fortunate to have amazing presidents. I had some really strong mentorship. My very first president was a gentleman by the name of Paul Embleton, and he was fantastic. And one of the things that was great about Paul is that his question to me was always, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think we should do? And he gave me a lot of freedom to make decisions. So as the years went on, I simply just took on that role of being sort of the leader from the operations and staff perspective. And I also had the great fortune of having a female president very early on. Her name was Rona Levine Rubin. She's still involved in business. She lives in Toronto. And she was amazing. She basically taught me how to negotiate. She taught me how to somehow get people to volunteer to do things while at the same time thanking you for the opportunity. She was just a master of communications, of networking. She knew and knows everybody. And she was just a gem. And I still consider her to be one of my dear friends. And a mentor to this day. So I had a lot of people like that along the way. And I think that people just were very willing to give me the opportunity to learn from them and to simply do my best, and they gave me that chance. I worked really hard. I always believed my parents had also taught me the value of working hard. And, back in the day when we would be sending a mail out package and I'd be stuffing the envelopes myself with my staff. And we had a very small staff at the time. And, my parents might come in on the weekend and help me do these things. And, it was a very small operation, but we were a growing chamber even then. And I just feel really fortunate that I was given such great opportunities at such a young age.
Yeah. So now that you look back, what would you say was your or is your biggest accomplishment in that journey?
My biggest accomplishment, I guess, early in my chamber journey, I think it probably was being such a young community leader, and having that opportunity. I mean, just having the chance to do to play such an important role in our community at such a young age. I think that was a great accomplishment, and it gave me a great opportunity to really meet tons of business people and politicians. And, I remember just having the good fortune of being able to speak one-on-one with, the mayor or the premier of the day, or, different government ministers, along with business leaders and company owners. And I just really was able to absorb information and learn from each of them a little bit. And, a lot of the people that I met back in the 80s and early 90s, I still count amongst my friends and confidants and mentors.
Yeah. So with that 3 decades almost of experience there, what did you learn them about? And that's for more the benefit of the audience here. What did you see that came out from business, but among the women community, like women in business? What did you, if you take a helicopter view, what would you say happened in the last, decades?
I think one of the things that I've seen happen is that in the workplace, women have taken on more leadership roles. But I will tell you that in Fredericton, we always had great examples of, female entrepreneurs to look up to. I remember, Ann Smith from Ann Smith Creations had a flower shop that was started in the 80s. Carol Alexander from Dana's Collision Center, or Donna Gardner from Gardner Realty. There were lots of great examples of women leaders at that time. And one of the things that I saw was that the chamber was really awesome at making sure that there were lots of women involved in the board and in the committees and things like that. But what I have seen is that more women are taking that risk of starting businesses. And I've seen younger women doing it too. It used to be that perhaps people would work in their career, and when they felt they had enough experience and enough time under their belt and maybe enough money, they might consider going out on their own in their chosen field. But I see young women today taking that step really early, and it's so impressive. It's very brave, and they're doing great. They're succeeding.
What would be one advice you would consider to give someone who is contemplating the idea of opening her own dream business? Maybe it's a project that has been in the back of her head, and she feels it's coming and coming.
Well, I think that for anyone who's looking to start a business, I think one of the keys to success is to surround yourself with good people. And whether that means your staff, or in the case of a situation where it might be just an individual business, your advisors. So whether that be mentors or coaches or your banker, your lawyer, your accountant, all those people that are going to be on your team helping you to grow your business. And when it's staff, I always like to give people this piece of advice: hire for the soul and train for the role. I love hiring people who have the same work ethic that you do, who have the same passion that you do, who have the same desire to succeed in whatever it is that you're working on as you do. And as long as they have the basic skills, you can train them to do specific things that you need done. But if you hire someone that is passionate about that work in the way that you are, you'll always be successful. The other thing that I would say is to try and not get bogged down on the things that you're not good at. So I know everybody's heard this before. Sell your strengths and buy your weaknesses. So if you're really good at marketing and teaching people how to market and promote their business and social media like you are, as an example, but maybe you're not so strong on accounting.
How did you know?
I don't know, because a lot of us aren't. But rather than spending, 30 hours trying to deal with your accounting, perhaps you spend that 30 hours focusing on your business and on the things that you're really good at and can make more profit from, and hire someone to do the things that you're not as good at. So I think that, hire for the soul, train for the role, and sell your strengths and buy your weaknesses.
Wow, I love that quote about the soul. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So talking about accounting, I always have this question for the women I interview. Started your career at 21 and up to now, how did your perception of money has changed?
Well, maybe I'll tell you a little bit more about my journey, and that will help. So from the years of 89 to 97, I was the general manager at the Chamber of Commerce. And in 97, my then husband and I bought a printing franchise, Quick Copy Printing. And we worked in that business together for 14 years. So I was an owner, an entrepreneur, self-employed. And we had a pretty good sized staff at the time. It was, we had anywhere from 10 to 14 people at any given time, a very busy and successful business. And in fact, we won a Chamber of Commerce Business Award in 2003. And we actually in 2010, I think, won Franchise of the Year for Canada with Quick Copy. So I had a wonderful opportunity to learn about being an entrepreneur and running my own business. We also owned a small office building, and we had some other business things on the go. So all good things might or must come to an end. So the time came that we were no longer married, and that meant that I needed a new job. So I left the business, and as luck would have it, the CEO role at the Chamber of Commerce was open, and I couldn't believe my good fortune. So I applied for the job, and I did what you talked about, which is work my network. I think I called everybody in the city of Fredericton that I thought could have any influence in any way, and told them that it was the job of my life. It's the job of my dreams. I love it. And it's my perfect job. And had I not been opening my own business, I never would have left the chamber. So I was so excited for maybe an opportunity to come back, and the chamber gave me that chance. I sold myself to them in the sense that I talked to them about how, well, I have chamber experience, so that's great. But I also come to the table bringing the understanding of being an entrepreneur, understanding about hiring and firing, understanding about, financial challenges in your own business, understanding about all of the, whether it be, production versus sales, whether it be, just trying to manage all of the many things that we do as business owners. So I was able to really, I felt, bring to the table the ability to speak to business owners, members of the chamber, in their own language. So in 2011, the Chamber of Commerce offered me my job again, coming back to the chamber as the CEO. And I will tell you, a funny thing happened in my final interview, and they interviewed me more than once, so I really had to sell it. In my final interview, one of the exercises was a writing exercise. So they asked me to write something. So I wrote a press release announcing my appointment as CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. I even quoted one of my past presidents Stuart Blair, who owned Covey Office Group at the time. And I quoted him saying how fortunate the chamber was to have me back, and what a great opportunity this was, and so on and so forth. Anywho, the chamber used that press release and that quote. We had to talk to Stuart and make sure that it was okay.
I love this. It's so good.
So when people ask me, how long have you worked at the chamber? My answer is, well, 20 years in total, but it has taken me 2 times to get there. So
I just love that you wrote your own press release.
yeah,
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best.
So I don't think I answered your question. Your question was, what was my perception
How
of
but well,
money?
through all of this, how did your
Yeah.
perception of money, because it's one of the things around women entrepreneurs that I hear a
Mhm.
lot, including myself, our perception of money changes when it's time to run a business and
Mhm.
play with this.
Well, I think that I've always been very independent financially, in the sense that I've always wanted to help myself or support myself. And I moved out on my own at a very young age, 17, went off to school and never went back home. So I've been independent, my whole adult life. But I think what I've learned about finances, I'll tell you a funny story. There were some boom and bust years when I was one of the owners of the printing company. And I remember when times were good and the pipeline was coming through and the highway was coming through, and we could hardly hire enough people to keep the work coming in and out the doors. And we were not as careful about, getting prices on things. And we just, we bought the equipment we needed. We just kept moving. And then a few years later, when things were in 2008, when the economy took a bit of a turn the other way, it really made me recognize that, wow, we have to make every decision in a way that's very thoughtful, and do our research and make financial decisions, not based on, speed of getting it done, but making the right decision. And so that was a really good lesson, because I remember thinking in 2008, I wish I had some of the money back that I had spent very quickly a couple of years earlier, and could use it in a more thoughtful way. But I also think it's a challenge for women sometimes to get the funding they need to start businesses. And you see a lot of women bootstrapping. So they save their money and they start their businesses in that way. And that comes with its own challenges. But it also comes with some positive things, which is you don't have the kind of debt that you have if you've had to borrow a lot of money. But definitely financing is challenging for entrepreneurs, whether they be women or youth or men. But it's definitely something that I have learned over the years to be very conscious of the money going out the door. And I also see some businesses starting up where they are spending a lot of money on the front end, getting their business launched. But at the end of the day, you've got to sell things, whatever it is that you're selling. Maybe you're selling your time or your expertise or widgets or what have you. But starting the business and all the things that it takes to get that going, you need to have customers lined up. You need to have money coming in the door, not just going out the door. And so that's an important lesson as well. Sales is one of the key aspects of any business.
Yeah, I love this transition, because sales requires to invite people to buy from you, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's one way of becoming visible. So what would be like, you are so visible, like mediatically, like on social media, and you're an amazing salesperson from what I understand, like you won prize and everything. So tell us something that could encourage sort of us watching us, and I'm sure you're inspiring so many women right now. Everything you say is so cool. So tell us, what does it take inside to feel comfortable to say, hey, buy my stuff? Of course you don't say it like that, but you know what I mean. To
Well,
be
I'll
so
tell you what,
excited.
whether it's selling a chamber membership, selling a sponsorship opportunity with the chamber, selling an idea of, an advocacy project that we're working on, or in the days that I was in the printing business, selling printing. I've always thought of it. There's two things. I'm helping people, and if your goal and your purpose is to help people, then you're not really selling exactly. You are finding a way to help them on their journey, their entrepreneurial journey, with what you have to offer. So that doesn't always mean selling them the most expensive widget. Maybe it's selling them the one that's right for them. And the more that you do what's right for them, the more they will want to deal with you and the more they will trust you. You would find that in your business, I'm sure. You could sell a very expensive, media type package to someone, but maybe that's not what they need right now. Maybe they need a very targeted program or project. But if you sell that to them or promote that or help them in that way, and it's successful and it meets the goals they need, guess what? When they need more, they come back to you because they trust you. So it's really about trying to help people and building trust. And I also see it as providing opportunities to people. I feel, in particular with the chamber, when I ask people, and talk to them about joining the chamber, I don't see it as a transactional, well, you give me $300 and you can join the chamber because we need you. I like to think of it as, we'd like to help promote your business. We'd like to help build your network. We would like to help. There's all kinds of things that the chamber can do to support your business. And while we're supporting your business with, sharing your social media or all those types of things, we're also advocating on behalf of businesses. And if everybody, joins the chamber and pays a little bit of the cost of that, then everybody benefits. And we're helping the community regardless. So I guess helping people has always been my goal, whether it be helping them in the printing business or for 20 years of my career, helping them through the chamber.
Yeah, I so agree with you. Yeah, that's the only way to see it. Otherwise, it's heavy. Yeah.
So the other thing I see too is it's not always helping people by, selling something per se. Sometimes it's helping them in a way that they see the value of what you're doing or what your group is doing, and then they want to be part of it. So during COVID would be a good example. When things were first challenging and businesses were closing and a lot of things were happening, we were one of the first organizations to almost immediately have a website, a special part of our website up and running, what's open, what's operating, and who's offering help. And we allowed every business, not just chamber members, every business to list themselves on there. We also had a listing of where you could get PPE, because if you recall, there wasn't any. It was very hard to get, but there were some businesses that had some for sale, but they were having a hard time getting their message out. So we created a PPE directory, and it wasn't just things like masks and hand sanitizer, although we promoted the businesses that had those, and companies like Gap Auto that started making hand sanitizer. We promoted that, but we also promoted businesses who had, maybe produced plexiglass barriers for inside of businesses, or people that could print signage that was needed as part of people's COVID plans. So, but we never once said, oh, we're just going to do this for members of the chamber. We did it for every business because we felt that at that time, everybody needed our help in a way that we had never experienced before. But what ended up happening is a lot of those businesses joined the chamber. And they basically said, we don't know what we would have done without you. And the information that the chamber was able to share with them about, programs and all the different things that were going on, they basically joined the chamber because we had helped them. And our membership is bigger now than it has ever been.
That's amazing. I remember when you put your website and everything. That's an amazing example of how you build a network from demonstrating who you are and your values, whether you're a chamber or even a person or a smaller organization. I love this. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, who would have ever imagined that a chamber of commerce would have given out literally hundreds of thousands of rapid tests to small businesses? And that program happened because I was on a call. I'm part of the chamber network. I actually chair the large chamber peer network in Canada. And I was on a call and somebody in Ontario was talking about this program where they were giving out rapid tests. And if you recall, they were very challenging to come by at the time. So I reached out to the province and said, well, we should be doing this. We can do this for you. We can help you. And they said, oh, they were actually just exploring some ideas, but they hadn't even thought of the Chamber of Commerce as a vehicle. Well, the next thing you know, we worked together with the province, with the Atlantic Chamber, the Canadian Chamber, and all the chambers who were interested and able in our province. And we brought that program to New Brunswick. And we were able to help businesses across the province.
I still have one that is like completely empty.
Well, I will tell you, for those businesses that are interested in COVID tests, we do still have some for businesses that want to participate in the program, and they can fill out the application form and get those from us.
Okay, we'll put the link. You tell me where you want me to send people, by the way, before the end of the.
Sure, they can just come on our website and reach out to us.
Okay, I'll put the link in the comments and the description.
Yep.
Oh, this is so beautiful. I don't want to keep you too long. I have 2 more questions. Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, I'm gonna say that in a good way. What something you thought was true at the beginning of your career around business, around how the world works, that became wrong to you? Like something that you thought was true that became not true?
I'm not sure this is going to answer your question, but okay. I'm going to give you some information. One of the things that I have heard over the years that people talk about, things are political or things are, people are cynical about how things work and how things operate and how you get things done. And you have to know people and this sort of thing. And I will tell you that I came into this job not knowing anybody who was important and not having a robust network or any of those things. But I came into it just with a desire to help and to connect and to be involved in my community. And I have found that, contrary to what some people might think, people want to help. And I reach out to people all the time and ask for help, not necessarily for me, but for someone else. I'll have a newcomer send me a message on LinkedIn and say, I have this skill, I have this training. I've been in Fredericton, I've gone to UNB, but I can't seem to get my foot in the door at any businesses. Can you help me? So I'll look at their resume and connect them to an employer that I know that I think could help them. And invariably, that employer says, you know what, I'll take an information meeting with that person. Sometimes they get hired, sometimes they don't. But what it does do is increase their confidence, give them an opportunity to expand their network. And I think it's great for the businesses as well. And that's just one example. But what I find is that people are willing to help. People are willing to meet and explain. I think if you go at things from the angle of, how can we solve a problem together? What can we do to collaborate? And if you're interested more in solving a problem or finding a solution and not too worried about who gets the credit for it, those problems, there's nothing that's insurmountable.
Bam. Yeah, that's why I wanted to interview you. I just love your mindset.
Oh, thank you.
But like everybody needs to take notes. Life is so much easier when you come from that place.
I think just too, understanding where other people are coming from and recognizing that, it's funny. I feel really lucky. I tend to have great customer service wherever I go. But I also think it's because when I walk into a store, I'm cheerful and I'm greeting the people and we're chatting and laughing and having a great interaction. And for the most part, I get amazing service wherever I go. And people are like, oh, you're so lucky. And it's like, well, no, I'm just really nice to them. And then they're nice back to me. and they thank me. And I thank them, and it's all good,
I love
And
this.
I think people want to be inherently, people want to help others, and they want to collaborate, they want to work together, they want to find solutions together. And if you go into things with that mindset, you're going to be successful.
Yeah, because it ends up that everybody gets seen and heard.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to be seen and heard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the social media love world, we talk a lot about our fears. The fears, not the danger ones, the fears that of the next step, the thing that we want, and it's like we have a little fear or big fear. What is your biggest fear today, Krista?
Well, I guess for me, my biggest fear. Well, one thing is my daughter is going off to university in the fall, and so I'm going to be an empty nester, just me, and so that's kind of interesting because that will be a big change for me, and I guess for me it's just looking at how long I might want to stay in this career. I'm going to be 56 this year, so I think, okay, do I want to work until I'm 60, or what am I going to do? What is going to happen next for me? But I wouldn't call that a fear. I guess I'm excited about whatever the future holds, whatever that might be. It's the unknown, but I'm not scared of it. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. And I share what you mean around the ketos going away.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat.
Right? I know.
What do we do?
Yeah. Maybe I'll have to play golf or something.
Sorry, we hear my phone on the back.
That's okay.
So the last question, and then there's a bonus question.
Okay.
Be quiet, phone. Okay. Social media. Love it or hate it?
I love it. I'll tell you what, I love being on, let's say Facebook, and seeing my friends' kids and seeing people's families and watching their travel journeys. That's amazing. I love seeing people's trips on social media. So that's from a personal perspective. From a work perspective, I find LinkedIn, great articles, good information. I find that Twitter is more sort of opinionated politics type stuff, but also good articles. And Instagram, I kind of use probably not as well as I could, but I use it just for mostly sharing, images and pictures and things. But of course, the Chamber of Commerce is on all those platforms and does a great job. Christine Little is our social media person, and she does an amazing job of sharing stories, not only about the Chamber and our work, but about our members. And so I love to share those stories as well. And every once in a while I'll be at an event and I'll decide to sort of live tweet the event. And that's fun. I did an event last week. The Chamber co-hosted an Indigenous business forum with JEDI, the Joint Economic Development Initiative. And it was an amazing event. We had hoped we would have about maybe 60 people in attendance. And we cut off the registration when we got to 150.
Wow.
We had a trade show. We had 3 panels. We had speakers. It was amazing. It was such a great event. And I spent the whole day paying really rapt attention to these panelists who talked about their journeys, but also sharing it on social media all day. And the response was so amazing. So I think social media is great. It's a great way to share your story, for people to know who you are and what you're all about, or your organization. And it's in the moment, right? It's very current.
Yes. Congratulations. That's an amazing turnaround for your event.
It was such a great event, and we had amazing sponsors. In fact, we just had a meeting today to talk about, what are our next steps, or what would we do again, or if we would do an event like this again. So we've decided it will be an annual event, but we're also going to do some other events throughout the year to better connect the Indigenous and non-Indigenous business communities. And, it's the craziest thing happened. While I was in that meeting, I got a text message from a business owner who said, would you be able to put me in touch with some, Indigenous economic development and business people? Because I have this project and I really want to have an Indigenous partner. And I said, well, yes, as a matter of fact, the people you need to meet are in the room with me right now. And so afterwards, I introduced them and I thought, like, that's amazing. Like, that's connections and networking, like it's wonderful that, and this person said, well, I knew you guys did an Indigenous business thing. So I thought I would reach out to you.
Here we go, bam. You're the
Yeah.
queen of connection. You are the queen of connection. And what I love about how you connect with people is that you connect the same way, whether you talk to the premier or to me or to someone you don't know. And this is just amazing. This is so beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I love people and I love meeting new people and also have, lots of, really have the good fortune of having a great circle of, our board of directors at the Chamber, 21 literal rock stars, like very successful business people. And, an example would be too, like every year we ask for nominations for our board or recommendations to our nominating committee. And there's usually 6 or 7 positions available. And we get like 40 people wanting to be on the Chamber board. And I feel so proud of that because what that tells me is that they have a great experience. And I really feel good that the Chamber has we have really great governance. We have great boards of directors and great committees. And those people that go on our board for a 2-year term, they leave our board better equipped to be better community volunteers for other organizations. I feel like we're a great sort of training ground for volunteers as well. So, I feel really lucky to be surrounded by people like our board and the great team that I have working with me as well.
Yeah. And I want to repeat that. I'm going to put the link to your website for sure. And I wanted to end up with this question. When is a good day for you? Like, I know you're going to probably tell me most of my days are good, but when it's the best day, what does that include? Like, maybe it's a wellness thing you do, maybe you eat that thing, or what? Tell us more about what
good
next.
day for me is a day when I start every day with 2 cups of coffee. And I have a few minutes to read the news, whether it be the newspaper or online. And I go off to work. And a good day is when the team is all in the office. I love that. And I love having meetings where we accomplish things, like maybe it's a meeting with some government officials on an issue that is a challenge for the business community. Maybe it's a meeting with some businesses, helping them to solve a problem. Love that. And then, just working throughout the day. It's nice when you have a little bit of time to actually, answer emails and do work. But I love those days when it's just like bang, 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 meetings and connections and contacts and that's a great day for me. And if it ends with, an opportunity to have a conversation like this in the evening, that makes it even better.
Thank you. I'm glad. Oh my God, what a beautiful conversation. Is there anything I didn't ask, I could have asked that you want to answer?
I don't know. I think we had a great conversation and I feel like you asked me so many good questions. But I'll tell you what, if you think of some that you missed and you want me to come back sometime, I'd love to.
Okay, that's awesome.
Oh yeah. Another thing about a good day, I really enjoyed talking to the media.
Oh my God, that's not everybody that says that. I love this. So what do you like about it?
I love being able to share the story of whether it's an issue or share a positive story about our membership. And I love to be able to get that message across. And that's amazing for me. And if I have a chance to tell a story to the media about something that's good or something that's a challenge or whatever the case may be, to make sure that people are understanding things from the lens of my members, which is, small businesses, not-for-profits. Like I want the community to see things through the lens that we see things through. And so I'm lucky enough to get to tell that story.
Oh, I love this that you added that. That was a good one. Yeah. Okay. I love it. Okay, cool. Well, Krista, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Yeah.
And we'll continue the stories for sure. I'm sure we'll find another opportunities.
Sounds great.
So what do you want people to do if they don't know the chamber or they're not a member yet? What's the next step for them?
Sure, they can go on our website and reach out. And I'll tell you one thing that they might want to do. On our website, there's a tab that says Stay Connected, and they can sign up to get our weekly emails. And they will start to get a flavor of the type of things that we're doing and the types of information that we're able to share. We send out an email every Thursday, and it's just full of great business information and great community information. So as a start, they might want to do that. If they're interested in joining, there's a button that says join now. Or if they just want to learn more, I would say the website's a really great place to start. And anybody who's interested in having a conversation can reach out to me. They can find me on Twitter. They can find me on LinkedIn, or they can find me. My direct email is on our website.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And ask any question if you're watching the replay. Don't hesitate. We'll make sure that Krista and I are answering you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.